somebody sent me a link to a competitor to this, and then I think that I was looking at something initially called the All Power, and also on eBay. And then I waited and waited a few weeks, and sometimes you put the thought out there when you're looking for a certain product, and a better deal eventually shows up. This was purchased for $200. It's not the largest, most powerful, but I do have solar panels, and since they are cheap enough now, later on down the line, if I find that the current ones are just too big for transport, maybe I'll get a 100 watt fold up solar panel kit that's perfect for the car. But for right now, I'll use what I have and work on getting the right connectors that will connect to this, and it connects back here. Right there. That connects to your solar panels. This is perfect for connecting it to the wall. This I'm not sure. This here is a light. Okay. And so we have the different inputs for USB. And this one is called fast charge. And I'm not sure what this is for. This would be ideal for a 12 volt fridge. If say you were traveling in your car, and the travel time for this, by the way, the time to recharge this in the car is 3.5 hours. So you could be traveling cross country, across America in this, and charging this. And I don't know what the average person, your phones, your radio, what else could somebody charge with this? Maybe a TV. Maybe they can power up a laptop player. They run for about $50 on Amazon. Those would also be ideal, especially if you have kids. Now, for me, my main thing is laptop, and I've got a USB board here. So I'm thinking about taking this to the park and testing this out, also connecting a USB light. And then, of course, I might also need power to broadcast live via the internet. I don't currently have a device for that. So these are things that I'm thinking about. Okay, so this right now is currently listed as 40% off on Amazon. It is $200. So this is the first test, and right now it is 5:37 Mountain Time, and this has been charging for 10 minutes now. Okay, and it's gone from 50% to 58%, the laptop. Okay, and it looks like it's saying that the output is, ranging there between 20 and 35 watts, which is less than other computers, if I'm reading that accurately. And it's still only at, or it's still up to 97% battery storage. So far, only been using this a few minutes, 10 minutes now, but it is not dumping. Okay, I had something else that I purchased. I'd have to go and look at my Amazon history. I'm not sure how much I paid for it. Wrapping up my thoughts here. I don't know, maybe $100. It was not a quality charger. And it was something that I used off the grid. When I had that extra power from the solar panels, I charged this battery bank that was just like this, but it was different. And then I also looked at some solar power generators that were mass produced out of China about 10 years ago, around the time that I highlighted the situation in Costilla County. And at that time I was looking at solar power generators, but I wasn't yet ready to put down the money to get one, because it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like a quality product. So at that point I got the deep cycle batteries, and later I got the golf cart batteries. And they lasted me for years, and I left them off the grid. They still worked. However, this would actually still be ideal off grid, because in the middle of the night, they didn't broadcast it, make a big deal out of it. I did use the generator to operate at night. When I want to do late night broadcasts or surf the internet at night or watch movies at night, to have the internet going, which was satellite up there off the grid, and run my computer and run lights, I ran the generator. And the generator isn't quiet, and the generator isn't free, and the generator isn't pollution free. Okay? So as technology improves, even though there is the question of morality when it comes to these batteries and overseas wars, that's one thing to keep in mind. But anyways, as the technology improves, what I've been hoping to see, and maybe we can see it in the next couple of years, is the rise in mindful off-grid media, where people use off-grid land and the technologies of the day. Probably want to avoid Starlink and trusting Musk, but do what you got to do, But I wouldn't recommend that for truly being off the grid and off the radar, And so there's potential for people, if they have their own battery banks and solar panels and computers and ways of getting online. And there's a lot more that you can do with a computer and a laptop like this, which only cost $300, which is worth more than $1,000, which appears to be using a lower amount of power. In addition, I've showed you lights recently that are far higher in quality than whatever I was using off the grid. So that's all for now.